Hi guys! Today I'm going to walk you through and do a video demonstration of our lab today about tissues, which is activity 322, just winging it. I encourage you, if you can, go to the grocery store and pick yourself up some actual chicken wings and do this lab at home yourself. I think it's super helpful to see not only the muscle tissues, but how they work together. You're gonna see that in the video, but it's much easier to visualize and put it in perspective when you're doing it yourself. And chicken wings are pretty inexpensive. I mean, I ran up the hill to Hagen's here and got this pack for just under $4. I'm only gonna use one of them, but the rest I can fry up for a snack. So it's a pretty inexpensive lab. And while the lab worksheet does tell you how to do this actual dissection in a classroom, I know that you guys don't have a dissection kit and microscopes at home, so I'm gonna modify it and do it here in my home kitchen with tools that hopefully you have. So I've got a cutting board that I've recently cleaned. I've got a piece of parchment paper so that I can discard onto that safely. Remember, this is chicken, raw chicken, so there is a salmonella risk. I'm not going to be wearing disposable gloves because I don't know that many of you would have those available to you at home. So I just really encourage you, when you're done with this lab, that everything gets washed and sanitized, including your hands and the counter surface as well. I've got a sharp kitchen knife, preferably as small and skinny of a blade as possible. The chicken wing is pretty small in itself, and we are trying to dissect if you were using a scalpel. So this is probably the closest thing that I have to that. I'm gonna see if I have like a razor blade, like a single razor blade that I might have from like a tool kit or something. Maybe you would have that at home. And then a pair of scissors. These are my kitchen shears, so I can cut into the package and also hopefully remove some stuff. The other things you'll need for the lab that we would be doing in class to make microscope slides, I know that you don't have those. So what I'm gonna be doing is inserting photos either into the video or the Google Classroom post. So you're gonna see the full chicken wing dissection, what you could be doing at home, and then anything else that you need for the worksheet will be included through photo posts. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you're finding yourself getting stuck on the terminology or not understanding what to look for as we progress through this lab, I'm gonna recommend that you do two things. One, go back to our notes presentation that we did in class on tissues. It'll give you definitions and some example photos, but also on the lab, the purpose statement right up here has quite a bit of information to help you out with what you're looking for and what stuff has different colors and locations. To get started, we're gonna open up our package and we're gonna pick out a chicken wing for our dissection. The rest will go back in the refrigerator. So this is what I mean when you're looking for a package of chicken wings. Normally, like for like a football tailgate, you'll see sections. You'll only have this piece or the drumette. We need the full chicken wings. So you're looking for whole chicken wings. This came from the Draper Valley line, so it's whole wings, but still pretty inexpensive. Okay, now that I have you zoomed in so you can see what I'm going to be doing, we are gonna start with part one, remove the skin. It says use the scissors from the dissection kit to cut the skin and remove it from the entire chicken wing. Set the skin aside after removing it. So obviously we don't have a dissection kit. We're gonna be using kitchen shears and the knife today, but the skin is anything on this outer layer that's much more like white, kind of a pale yellow color, not the pinky, peachy, and then the red color. We're trying to remove just this. Skin and fat also look very, very similar. Fat just actually feels sticky, which is why this is another cool reason to do this in person, because a lot of the stuff you can identify through touch. So we're gonna cut into this and start removing the skin. Like right here's a good example. I'm pulling away the skin tissue. This is the difference right here. So skin is this white, thinner color. This yellowy part right here, I'm hoping you can see that. That is fat. The pink underneath it is muscle. I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get it. There are a little bits of skin left, like right here, but the skin and the fat is very hard to tell the difference, and this is very sticky. You'll see that. But overall, I've removed it. This does look pretty light, but it's some of that connective tissue. And so now it just makes all of that joint and muscle flexure easier to see. All right, the next step says to pin the thick end of the wing down with your hand and move the tip of the wing, flexing the joints. Observe the motion of the tissues as they function. You can extend almost straight out all the way without me manipulating much. So there's the outer look, this is the inside look. So it comes into the body of the bird a lot more. Pretty good extension and flexion. Examine the surface of the skinless muscle. It's the pale pink tissue under the dissecting microscope, and make observations in table 1. So obviously you can't do it through the microscope, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to see some of this tissue and some of this tissue up close. I'm gonna take a photo for you and zoom in a little bit. So here's hoping you can see those tissues. We're gonna pause here and go to our table 1 for observations and give you some time to answer the question. So it says, poke the muscle tissue with a scalpel, AKA your knife. How easily cut is the muscle compared to the skin? I'll tell you right now, this is much harder feeling than the skin, and this kind of squishy. This isn't so much as much firmer, but this was way harder to cut than the muscle tissue. This tears, it bends and stretches. It's very sticky. This cuts much easier. From your observation above, what can you conclude about the function of the skin? What type of tissue comprises the skin of chicken wings? So think back to our different muscle tissue types from our notes and also the purpose on this worksheet. List the colors of the different tissues observed in the skinless wing. So we're gonna go ahead and dissect this, but right away, even before we do that, you can see that there are varying colors here. And then the last question from table 1 is, what types of connective tissue can you see when you flex the wing joints? So when I'm flexing the wing joints, what muscle tissues are involved in this process? Again, those are from our notes and from the purpose. Part 2, remove the muscle, says use the scissors to cut away the muscle tissue from the bone. While cutting, try to leave the white rubbery tissue in place and prevent the joints from separating. Set the muscle tissue aside for part 3 and examine the connective tissue. So we're gonna try to cut everything away that is this color and try to leave as much as possible these more white connective tissues, if you will. So we should, hopefully by the time I'm done with this, just see bone and connective tissues. I'm gonna pause for a moment and hope that the camera will pick this up. And this is another good example of why if you can do this at home, it's pretty freaking awesome. When you get to this level, the muscles just separate on their own and you can feel them completely different. And the connective tissue here, it almost has like a silvery undertone, but there's a muscle here, there's a muscle here, there's a separate muscle here, and there's a muscle here, and they're all together, but I can feel them very distinctive, just like this piece almost came out as a perfect muscle. So you can just feel the separation. They're all together because of this being over them, but once it's removed, you can really feel the different, you know, sections. And here you can see an artery, maybe not an artery, but a vein. And that vein is its own thing, getting blood supply all the way to the tip of the wing. So we removed quite a bit of muscle tissue. I wanted to show up close. This piece has the blood vessel. I'm gonna try to take an up close photo for you there. This kind of has it continuing, but this piece is a really good piece to show the connective tissue. It's got super thick cartilage and then just that silvery, you can just tell the difference between the fat and this with that shiny glossiness to it there. All right, so we're gonna examine the connective tissue, which includes tendons, ligaments, bones, and cartilage under the dissecting microscope. We're not gonna be able to do that. I'm just trying to get you as close as possible, and then I'll insert pictures. But it's really interesting to see how this whole thing comes to play. So if this was into the chicken, you can see that it can extend, flap its wings, can come close to the body. This muscle has that ball and socket to really adjust and play. So we've got quite, and we can almost go totally straight. So we've got quite a bit of range of motion in the chicken wing. And we truly can see all of the muscle types except for cardiac, which will be one of your photo slides for you to look at. The heart is obviously not a part of the wing system. So we're gonna take a look at that one in comparison, but everything else is in this. So check Google Classroom for my posts with the photos. I'll label them for you and you'll be able to complete the lab.